All right, for you folks on the audio, we'll be there momentarily. All right then. Welcome back to the Foxhole. Yeah. Foxtrotting in a Foxhole. Season 11, Episode 2, number 322 overall. Your faithful host, Ken Harlan here, coming to you from Eagles Nest 2, Studio B, on a super Saturday in the summertime. Yeah. We got World Cup. Bear with me, folks, if you hear like silly noise out in the background. It is Saturday, and people are like doing responsible things like working in the lawn and deciding to use their power tools or gardening tools the minute I start recording. But hey, I got to get this in. All right, folks, since it's all about crushing it, let's get cracking here. Open Face coming to you on episode 322. By the way, check out the last Aftershocks. It was really cool for Mr. Big to come by and visit with us and talk Wimbledon and some other things. A lot of fun. Just the beginning of a lot of interesting guests with what's left of summer. So check that out. That's going to be a lot of fun. All kinds of things popping off here. All right. Anyways, that's Open Face. Episode 322 coming right at you. Well, where do we start? Gosh, really somber. It took a couple of hits here this week. I mean, if you're old school like I am, and and somehow you had a TV in your bedroom, and your folks didn't know you were watching it. Mary Hartman, one of the greatest shows that nobody ever knows about, or most people don't, because they're too young, and it never really made it in the syndication and Fernwood Tonight that came after that. But Louise Lasser, I mean, Martin Mull was in that show. All kinds of cool folks. I mean, one of the great late night TV shows. Another, I think, Norman Lear creation. But yeah, Louise Lasser, she passed away. She was in some of the early Woody Allen movies because they were married together. But one of those iconic figures from the 70s that a lot of folks really don't know about. They've seen her in other stuff, but people forget about Mary Hartman. I mean, dude, drowned in a bowl of soup or something, like all kinds of crazy stuff. Raunchy TV ahead of its time, like soap, all kinds of things. Bonnie Tyler passed away. The Eclipse of the Heart. Condolences go out to her peeps as well. Joanna Pettit, Sharon Tate's buddy. In fact, the last person to hang around with Sharon Tate before the scumbags butchered her. Yeah. Just saying, man. So we took some hits this week as far as people crossing over the bridge. Ooh, man. Okay. Where are we going now? Now that we got the sad part out. This is pretty sad too. What the hell is going on with my man Marcus Wiley? That dude, Marcellus, excuse me, not Marcus. Marcus Welby, MD, but no, Marcellus Wiley. This whole thing with his wife, who was on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I believe. Man. Yeah, the things that he's being accused of by her, and of course, according to Whitlock and Coach JB and the folks in that inner sanctum on the other side of the spectrum as far as sports content creators are concerned, are kind of like saying the chronologically the chronological order does not make sense as far as some of the things that Anne Marie Wiley is accusing Marcellus. Man, get our words straight. Marcellus is an interesting cat, and he's been the subject of allegations before, never substantiated. I know that, let's forget about his Ivy League background and all that stuff, but I just have watched the guy over time and the way he conducts himself. And the fact that he's married to somebody that's kind of in that whole content look at me world. We don't have to pass judgment here, but wow, this has been an interesting couple of months. With Diana Rossini and Braves, now this with Marcus Wiley and Anna Marie Wiley accusing him of being that dude. Hope it's not true, but as everybody else is saying, let the facts come out. Let's not prejudge. All I know is this is a very, very tawdry story. And probably not going to have a happy ending for all parties involved. In other words, that cash payout, Man, a lot of stuff going on here. And what is all this nonsense about Uncle Shay Shay and Shakur Stevenson beefing to the point where Shakur Stevenson basically comes out and tells, well, obviously not to his face, but via social media where everybody's a tough guy, that you need to shut your mouth or I'm going to whoop your ass. No, I know Uncle Shay Shay, like he told Jaws dad, you don't want any of that smoke. Shannon's a big guy, but he wants no part of Shakur Stevenson, the boxer. Oh, hell no. Yeah, you might want to take an L and just kind of walk away from that one, just in the same way that I feel Kendrick Perkins needs to take an L and walk away with the beef he has with Jaylen Brown's daddy. Yeah. What else do we have here? Speaking of like crazy, this is open face, right? Argentine fans being racist at the World Cup towards the content creator, what is it? Ice Speed? Yeah, I talked about him, I think, sometime last year, right? The guy's got like 40 million viewers on his YouTube channel. And like when he shows up to places like LA and San Francisco, all these kids show up for these little events. And I'm like going, and you kids and your street and beach takeovers and showing up in hordes to see some content creator. I ain't condoning it. I'm never condemning it. I just don't understand it. But yeah, apparently neither are the Argentine fans, and they let him have it, showing the Argentine fans were so nice and great. Well, apparently not so. In the end, when it comes to what they really love is some Messi and their boys, but not much else. Not saying that's all Argentine fans, but gee, for the ones who were being racist dirtbags, not a damn good look. All right. This is going to have some resonance, this next point that I'm making. And one of the hopefully future conversations, I don't want to leak it yet. We want to make sure it's completely nailed down before I speak more to it. But I will say this was interesting that I saw. Billionaire owner for Sporting Kansas City. I believe he's a new owner. And I believe his name is Peter Malik, if I'm saying that correctly. He made a really interesting point, and this is going to resonate here in the weeks to come. He basically said that, yeah, I bought Sporting Kansas City, and I'm trying to infuse a lot of money to make this project work, and I will get what he's about to try to do when we get to the beautiful game live. But he basically said this week that if you got lots of dough, those big bags of cash that if SJ gets down is always talking about, better investments out there than buying a sports team, which I thought was really interesting. Since you own one, so yes, this point and the questions that come from that in the weeks to come, stay tuned, folks, because it's like, wow, I really want to get some more perspective on this. A little fallout from the wedding. Notice how people, when I say the wedding, there can only be one wedding. Love my girl Emily Jahinsky of Megan Kelly. She's part of Megan Kelly's little eco spare. She kind of came out and was talking about how shallow it is. It's like, how can it be intimate if you're having your wedding at MSG? Okay, I got sidetracked there. But the point being is all of these people kind of flex like, yeah, I was invited. but I didn't go. And Charles Barkley basically said, man, this is going to be a shit show. Yes, I'm flattered to get the invite, especially since I don't play football and all that kind of stuff. I'm just a pop cult figure about, hey, I'd rather play golf. I ain't got time for this nonsense. Love it. Some of the other people trying to clout chase by saying, well, I was invited. And of course, I mentioned already the folks that were snubbed, like Will Compton and somebody else, the folks that are all involved in that whole tight end U thing, thinking they would get an invite, and Tay Tay. Gotta love some of the people pushing back on her. Man, I know y'all ain't a biggest fan of Megan Kelly, and I don't blame you. But boy, did she roast the heck out of T Sizzle, and in my opinion, at least, I think she nailed it. What else do we have? It is open face. Oh man, this guy in New York, the mayor. Like I said, this isn't me injecting my politics because I'm an independent. If you follow this podcast, I don't give a RAF about the right, left, and probably even the center. This is when it comes down to it because this world is so cooked right now. But that's just me. But Mandami basically comes out with this little ethnic map, and there's no little Italy, no little Ireland. Basically, it's if you're a European enclave, you don't exist anymore in his mind. Regardless of all the contributions that people from these enclaves have made to New York City's rich history over the last 4 centuries, or actually 5, because we're talking like 1624, right? When it was New Amsterdam and the whole scam for $24 worth of beads and trinkets went down. But I'm just like, wow, the stones on this guy. Yeah. What do they say? What does Steve Kamok say? I'm going to be seeing him tomorrow. Just remember, you asked for it. Or as Johnny Lighton would say, this is what you want, this is what you get. Oh, wow. I tell you, man, we're all over the place right now. This is another one I found interesting. There's this activist in my home state, even though I'm born in Missouri, but hey, I'm a California guy. Okay? I grew up there. There's an activist in California. Of course, she's in the Bay. And she says that teaching Ebonics should be mandatory for, I believe, like grade school students or like preschool, kindergarten, something whack like that. When I say we're cooked, we are cooked. I mean, we got kebabs, we got steak, we got burgers, surf and turf. Somebody actually pushing that we should be teaching Ebonics. What kind of whackball nonsense is this? Told you it's open face, man. Yeah. Okay. I'll leave you with this one. You thought you heard everything before. Well, this is like not hold my beer, not hold my keg, not hold my delivery truck, but hold my brewery. Apparently, this cat in Fort Wayne, Indiana, his name is Christopher Pedden, I believe, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, cut off his selective bits to set a fire. He was trying to start a fire. And I'm not sure if this guy was homeless or not, or just stone cold crazy. But who cuts off their happy parts to start a fire and gets caught and somehow survives it? A true story, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Somebody make sense of that. In fact, I'm still reeling from that. When we come back, we will talk a little beautiful game up. I can't even talk. Can you imagine that kind of nonsense? Somebody help me here. Make it make sense. All right, welcome back to the Foxhole. Faithful host Ken Harlan here. Ice cold chilling like Kavicha Carvaskelia. Even though this is a Joe Theismann Pro Bowl jersey from way back when, hey, it's still number 7. And he's ice cold chilling too. But more about all that stuff later. In the meantime, let's talk some beautiful game life and let's go pitch side. Obviously, the World Cup being the story globally, as it should be, rightfully so, and there's a lot to talk about there. I'll save my rant and raves for the U.S. men's national team later. I talked earlier in the week about it. But yeah, we need more time to distill this because this is going to be a long conversation throughout the summer as the World Cup winds down and we restart the engine for MLS and get ready for global soccer as we get towards the end of the summer. But I can't speak to the whole red card nonsense that has been, it's FIFA. They have no oversight, people. And I know England is pretty pissed off. What's the kid's name? Jarrell Quanish? He gets 2 games, but Bell against Gates. If the World Cup was in England, he'd be playing. They'd have found the way. Now, I know everybody's looking at it like, oh, well, gee, Trump intervened. Trump didn't do jack, okay? This is FIFA, a governing body of all of global soccer, being able to do what it wants to, and who the heck is going to stop them? The court of world sport, as we say, British Petroleum. And for all you folks whining and moaning, how many unnecessary conversations did I have? I get it. I'm not saying, people who follow soccer every now and then. Yeah. But for somebody like me who follows it all the time, as I told, a friend of the show next door, Andy G, and we're talking about it, it's like, for this to have gone the other way, like in the case of our man, Mr. Belligan, I would have been shocked. The Americans just didn't hold up their end of the bargain. But boy, there's been some incredible stuff here. I mean, moving away from the controversy. Well, no, actually, this is controversial too when you stop and think about it. However, this is the beauty of it all. The Messi magic on full display. I don't think this Argentine team, in spite of some of their racist fans, is as good as the team that won 4 years ago. But they're showing a certain grit. And this Egypt game, where they were down 2-0 in the second half, and it looked like they were cooked. And if you ask folks in Egypt, their coach, some of their players, definitely their fans, Argentina was cooked. But once again, FIFA or not, this Argentina team showed a lot of grit and mostly lots of heart, rallying from a 2-0 deficit. And they do say 2-0 is the most dangerous score in soccer, and in this case it was. Especially when you have that man, Leo Messi, on the pitch at 39. Still the baddest mofo in the game. And there's a lot of bad mofos in the game as we've been seeing in this particular competition. But hey, that's just incredible. If you're Egypt, I get it. I really do. I mean, yeah. There are some questionable things there, but what sporting contest on this planet doesn't feature some questionable things? Very seldom. And when you've got Messi, the reigning champ, his squad is going to get the benefit of the doubt. Not rocket science here, folks. Not fair, but gee whiz. When was the last time life was fair for anyone? Other than if you're someone like Leo Messi or Kylian Mbappe or any of these other folks who won the genetic lottery and are at the top of their profession. Yeah, feel for you, Egypt. It's very impressed with the Swiss. Did you have them on your scorecard for getting this far and knocking up the Colombians? As Manny said to Tony Montana, what was that face when I mentioned the Colombians? I don't like Colombians. Well, apparently the Colombians don't like the Swiss probably after that. A lot of chances there. Went to kicks. Somebody's got to win. Somebody got to lose. Props to the Swiss. France and Morocco, the aforementioned Kylian Mbappe doing Mbappe things. My man, Mr. Ousmane Dembele, getting into the act as well. France doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're the best team in this competition. That doesn't mean they're going to win, but they are the best team. I know because, well, gee, you know why I know. And people are like going, does that mean you root for France? No, I don't root for France, but I do root for my PSG guys who happen to be all over this particular competition. And it's been, a great moment for the club as far as our peeps doing that voodoo that they do. You got Spain out-dueling Belgium yesterday. No shock there. I mean, talk about, the Great Wall of China as far as being, hard to penetrate. Yeah, Spain stopped Belgium, showing why the U.S. did not need to be in this round. But we'll get to that. I promise. A little bit later. Yeah. So we got a big match today. England, basically Harry Kane and Mr. Haaland, as Harry Kane says, we're different. Well, we're going to find out here shortly. And that's why I'm trying to blast through this so I can go out with my Red Aces friends, or Cascade Aces as they are now, and enjoy it. But we'll see. We're cranking away. Okay. Some fun stuff here. Speaking of, we can't talk about Brazil being in the competition anymore, and Neymar saying goodbye to international competition. And you're so cooked, this is not anything to cry about. Maybe cry about what could have been with you, but give Brazil credit that they made sure to give access to everyone. And all World Cup games have been free in the Brazil YouTube or however they do that. And I'm not sure how that doesn't keep the rest of us cheapskates from accessing it. Maybe you can. I don't know. But regardless, I love making all the matches available on YouTube so people can access it. Because after all, they say the game belongs to the people. But we know that's a little bit more complicated than it sounds. Okay. I was talking about Egypt earlier and their heartbreak, and I brought up a Sporting Kansas City owner. And obviously he says investing in a sports team is probably not the best way to invest your money. The fact that he's done it and he's trying to make a splash, rumor has it, I don't know if it can come to fruition, but we'll see. Mo Salah, now departing Liverpool, there's rumors out there in the cotton fields or grape orchards or peach orchards that he could be coming to Sporting Kansas City. Wow, wouldn't that be nuts? But I just have a feeling if he came to MLS, would you really want to play for Sporting Kansas City? But who knows? When you got them deep pockets like this cat, Mr. Malouk, has, we shall see. That's going to be an interesting story if that does come to fruition. Wow, but come on. Really? Another interesting development, as you know, our U.S. men's national team, the under-23s are the ones who compete in the Olympics. And they just named a new coach, somebody who is very familiar to me, Dolo, after saying he was going to go back and chill in Europe. Yeah, Steve Cherundolo, former LAFC coach. Yeah, that's Steve C., whose tenure in South Los Angeles, at least if you ask some of the folks in the black and gold, not so, could have been better. I mean, obviously, he got us some glory, but cool. I like this hire in terms of him. Well, let me save all this for a closer look. I'm just happy for Dolo, and I think he's going to do well in this role. But I think when it comes to the overall expectations of what we can do in U.S. soccer, there has to be a serious examination. As I've said, this is going to be an ongoing conversation all summer, but we'll get back to that in a closer look. Okay, quick look at the NWSL and see what the ladies are up to. Playing matches, and because of the World Cup, hard for them to get any love as far as attention. So we'll give them some attention. Let's look at the table real quick here. And San Diego leads the Thorns by 1 after 14 match days. Oh, jeez. Something to keep an eye on, as they say. Something else that's interesting, and this goes to a bigger conversation. The Oakland Roots, a team that has, I don't know, they've endeared themselves to many fans across the country. Definitely grassroots in the East Bay who have lost 3 major sports franchises. They announced they were leaving the Coliseum. Pretty much the last tenant there. So I expect the Coliseum to finally get the wrecking ball. Where the Oakland Roots are going to play moving forward, I mean, they were talking about maybe putting something together where the A's were going to build before they decided to bolt for Sacramento, then to Vegas. Howard Terminal, which would be a boon to the Jack London Square area. I don't know, but I think it's significant because this means this is going to bring pretty much an end to this, 60-year run because of the Coliseum, the Oakland Coliseum, that is, opened in '66, I believe, after the Raiders left Frank Ewell Field. Yeah, sad, as it always is, but then again, Oakland ain't getting no major sports team. And there's a possibility that the Roots may build a facility somewhere on the Coliseum lot. The Oracle Arena next door is doing well because concerts and other things still happen there. But the Coliseum, I think, upkeep, repairs, and just not really having a tenant that could actually generate revenue has pretty much spelled its doom. All right, folks, that's what's happening pitchside. In the nitty gritty, as far as the World Cup is concerned, buckle up your seatbelts, grab your popcorn. It's about to get real up in this bee. We'll be back momentarily. All right then. Welcome back to the Foxhole. Your faithful host, Ken Harlan here, making some adjustments for this particular scene. Okay. Like I said, check out the episode that I did with Mr. Big as far as, make sure we're all doing the right thing here. Our conversation about Wimbledon. A lot's been going on as I look up at my screen right now, seeing Michova and Neskova playing. Yeah. Miss Michova, who ended Coco's bid, by the way, because we had Mr. Big and I were talking about Coco's chances, and unfortunately for Coco, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. Yeah, but that was a fun conversation. Obviously, Mr. Sinner continuing his mastery of the Joker as much as Mr. Big wanted the Joker to have a moment. It ain't going to be in England, unfortunately. Not a surprise there, but hey, hell of a run getting this far. Zerva took care of the Brit and on the other side of the bracket. Okay, what else do we have? Right, I remember, the woman that was cranky about the Ukrainian woman that Mr. Big was talking about. Yeah, it was a kind of a big deal of the IOC allowing Russia to finally fly its flag again in the next Olympics. You know, a lot of things going on with this next Olympics. But hey, obviously the IOC, like FIFA, hey, we want to do it, we will. We don't, blank you. We're doing it anyway. So let's see what kind of political theater that spawns. A lot going on the course. Last week, was it Chris Gotterup? He closes with a 62 to take the John Deere. And the tournament this weekend that's in progress right now. Wow. Men and women's. Big shockers here. Scotty and Nelly Korda. Scotty Scheffler, that is, both missing the cut. And I was like, what was the last time Scotty missed a cut? Something like, it's been a ridiculous amount of time. Wow. Both of them not around for the weekend. Also of note, a favorite of the Foxhole, the legendary Patrick Harrington winning the U.S. Senior Open. I think that's a back-to-back for him. Yeah, he's a repeat champion. So kudos to Mr. Patrick. Yeah. Okay. We'll stay on the golf course for one more. Try this one on for size. Okay, I guess there are some English companies out there who claim they invented the concept for live. Take that for what it is. Anyhow, they've got it in their mind to sue because they say this was our brainchild and they want anywhere from 210 million to 630 million, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. But I figure if you're them and the lawyers who are going to get they cut, why not? Everybody else got paid up in this B. Why shouldn't we get some too? Wow, stay tuned to see how this plays out. Okay. Track-wise, we mentioned this the other night because I forgot to bring it up last week because I was so pressed to get the episode out like I am right now. Funny what happens when you got a World Cup in progress. But Charles Leclerc winning the British Grand Prix. What's of note here? Russell, number 2, Lewis Hamilton, 3 as far as the podium is concerned. Lando Norris giving me the bird to say, hey, what do you mean I'm Claude Brains, the Invisible Man? He was 4th, but not on the podium. But at least we see you, Lando. And then, really interesting, Mr. Kimi Antonelli, who had been eating everybody alive, finishes 15th. And even more disturbing, my man Max Verstappen finishing in 20th. What up with that? Over in the 10 tops, as far as NASCAR is concerned, Chase Briscoe, Nicole Briscoe's cousin, I think, or not cousin or cousin-in-law, whatever, however, yeah, something-in-law, brother-in-law, not, or maybe something like that. Anyways, he holds off Christopher Bell to win at Chicagoland. Nonetheless, 1-2 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Big week for Joe Gibbs. Obviously, I'll get into that later, but yes, big smile on his face all around, especially with his boys going 1-2 in the Windy City. And gotta give Indy Circuit some love as a nod to our friend, the Quarterman, JK, the Quarterman. How about Pato O'Ward getting it done at the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio? All right. I mean, I don't have any. I know people have been burning up the track and field stuff lately, but oddly enough, this week, nobody has done anything earth-shattering since that kid ran, 1975 at the pre-classic here in Eugene last week. Anyway, when we return, we'll do some Nightfall of Diamonds, talk a little hippie, and a lot of baseball on the other side. See you momentarily. All right, welcome back to the Foxhole. Your faithful host, Kid Harlan here. Ice cold chilling, watching a little Wimbledon on the screen after taking in an interesting WNBA matchup. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I believe Dallas outlasted Minnesota because I started recording here, so I didn't get to see the end. But let's fire up. Let's fire up the bus. Let's get with our hippie brethren with our veggie burritos, our patchouli, Dark Star crashes, mirror shatters, kind of 8-track Hallelujah hat track kind of day. It is hippie Christmas, it being Country Fair weekend, with all the beautiful people descending on Veneta, Oregon, keeping the spirit alive. 8/27/72, yo. If you know, you really know. Yeah, it's been a crazy week in the Jam-Spear. One, Jake out at Humphreys, and I'm hearing some disturbing things, but we ain't going there because none of that's been substantiated. Is my man, Simo, who I saw for the first time in years yesterday, used to joke with me and say, wow, because, Jake Senegar had this sort of cross between metal and prog where he's just, he's out there on enemy lines firing that Thompson machine gun. It's sort of like, remember Simo would say, hey man, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but maybe if you could get a little carpal tunnel syndrome so you can slow the groove down a little bit. But nonetheless, Humphreys, always a special place in my heart because when I kind of was going through a rough time in life and really wasn't doing the jam thing, they were the ones that pulled me out of it. And, before I got back up my insane love for Bisco, which I've always had, they were the ones that provided a pathway to it. And so I'm really sad to see Jake leave Humphreys in the same way I was sad to see Disco Biscuits part with Alan. But, these are bands. So things do evolve, things do move on. Best of luck to you, Jake, whatever you do next. Okay, Fish is back on tour, and they are jamming it out. I mean, a 15-minute bouncing out around the room last night. I've caught, I think, 2 of the 3 shows they've done so far. Enjoying myself. The Fish kids on Couch Tour, we all talk. Everybody's having fun. The people at the venues, like when they were in Madison to kick the tour off, which I thought the tour opener was hella strong. Really enjoyed the Yim last night. So all good there. I also got I would be remiss if I didn't chuckle a little bit after all the trash I talked about the Play Dead app not putting out enough love from the 70s. Apparently they heard me complaining, so we got 7/27/74 from Roanoke, Virginia. Thanks for listening. And then they threw out a road trips from the 70s as well later in the week. Still had to get those 89s in there, which is no problem. As long as you give us a little taste of the 70s, we all good with that. What did Richie April say? As the pimp says to his hoes, keep it coming. Okay, let's park the bus because the Dark Star shatters the mirror. Let's talk some real Nightfall of Diamonds baseball. Woo, man. Well, this is obviously it being LA and the way LA is. It's changed a lot from when I lived there, but nonetheless, it's interesting politically. And of course, the Dodgers, being the Dodgers, they are going to honor the tradition that the winners go to the White House. Not sitting well with a lot of their fans, it being California and LA, as I said previously. But you know what I say? F it. This isn't about politics. If you're okay with somebody going to the White House during Obama and Biden, then you need to STFU when a team decides to do it, whether it's Trump, Bush 43, if Vance wins in 28, or whoever, okay? Get over this. Stop making, you don't have to fight over everything. Just keep scrolling when you hear your team may visit the White House. It's not the end of the blanking world, okay? Speaking of the Dodgers, they've kind of cooled a little, but they still lead by like 14 games. So the NL West has turned into a complete dumpster fire outside of them. Otani becomes the fifth fastest to hit 300 home runs. And I'm like, gosh, he's already got 300 home runs. But the problem is, he's going to miss the All-Star game, and that's a bummer for Fox and the rest of the baseball world. He's got a sore knee, and the All-Star game is just, I don't know. As Donald Sutherland said, JFK, just part of the scenery at this point. We want the third championship. I am a Dodger fan. So, yeah. You worry about getting your knee right. Forget about the All-Star game. Speaking of the All-Star game, the home run derby was already cooked long ago. But now it's going to be really cooked that it's Netflix. And you already have one of my not so favorite people, L. Duncan, talking about, oh, this is going to be an incredible experience. I'm like, the minute I hear you open your mouth, it's either the mute button or I'm turning the friggin' channel. And a bunch of other casuals are going to be part of this whole thing. The home run derby, my friends, is cooked. More than that brought you left on the Weber during the 4th of July cookout with the peeps. What else do we have happening here? How about the Yankees fanning 17 times in consecutive games? How do you strike out 34 times over the course of 2 games? The Yankees said, hold my beer and watch. Yeah. The Rays still leading the AL East. So who's hot right now? Well, how about the Brew Crew? They've won 7 out of 10 going into today. And I believe they have a 7.5 game lead. Keep an eye on that. Really keep an eye on this. Okay. Now they're 44-50, not setting the world on fire, but they play in a very bad division. Those folks in the Motor City, the Detroit Tigers, 9-1 in their last 10. They're only 4.5 games back, and it's what, July 11? 7-11. Go get your free Slurpees. I was in 7-Eleven earlier, but it was too early. I didn't want to carry a Slurpee back. But 7-Eleven, and the Tigers are streaking, at least right now. Keep an eye on that. Another team, in terms of the whole wild card thing, probably can't win the division. At, what are they, 44-48. The Bean Eaters, that's right, the Bo Sox, they are 8-2 in their last 10. Quietly moving themselves into position. You know about Boston. If they can somehow get in, you know that magic starts working for them. So we definitely will be keeping an eye on the Bean Eaters in the what's left of the season. Basically half of July, August, and September, and then it's playoff show. Yeah. The San Francisco Giants. The Gigantes. Have you ever seen a team self-implode before your eyes like the Giants are doing under Buster Posey right now? This is definitely some waste treatment facility kind of stuff. Fighting with the press. You got the whole thing with Pride Night. The team is Cagada, as my buddy Oscar from Guadalajara. Oh no, he's from Chihuahua. Excuse me. Oscar Tapia used to say Cagada, buddy. Absolute Cagada, the Giants. On and off the field, it is just woo-wee. Put that clothespin on your nose, because this stuff smells even worse than the stainless steel bowls I hand out in TMCA time. It's really that bad, y'all. All right, on that note, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll do some 43K view. All right, welcome back to the Foxhole. Thanks for putting up with me and all my technical wackiness. Apologize for some of the technical hiccups the other night. Yeah, I'm really needing to look into a better streaming solution. Google Meets, you got to be better than that. But we're working on it. It's like we're trying to perfect this. All kinds of headaches as far as dealing with the workflow that we're trying to get to a better place. We ain't quite there yet, so bear with us. Technology is supposed to make our lives easier. Alrighty. Let's get the homies and homettes together. It's going to be a tough one because of all the traffic out that way going out to the OCF. But we got to get to the Eugene Airport in our Uber so we can dance in the streets, dance through TSA with our dancing bears smiling all the way to the tarmac where our shimmering Gulfstream G650 awaits us to get to the cruising altitude of 43,000 feet. For what? So we can take the high view over campus. What do we got going on here in the slow part of the year? You all see the commissioner of the Big 12, what's his name? Brent Yormack, basically pull a Stephen A. Smith to this reporter that asked him a question. Obviously it was a Texas Tech specific question dealing with Mr. Sorsby. But, we've empowered these clowns so much that they think they're truly exalted. That you can talk to somebody that way. I mean, okay, you're a commissioner of a major football conference, but you're not doing the heavy lifting. You're just the one that gets to, take the glory and the slings and arrows. You can't, even if the media's annoying or content creators are annoying, you ain't that exalted that you can talk to somebody that way. British Petroleum with that. My goodness, I was so appalled by that. I wanted to crawl through my monitor and punch the mofo in the face myself. Wow. Okay. But it does bring me to a certain point, though. I mean, I was watching something, it's like putting some content together for this. And I saw it was Heather Dinich, and SEC 12 analyst. I think his name is, let me see here. Wow. Jordan Rogers. And he basically just, cut everybody off and just said, with all the stuff going on, does anybody here really think the NCAA has any power at this point? I mean, right? Why should we believe anything? Because, it's interesting. A lot of quarterbacks, like the kid from Utah, what's his name? Devon Dampier, I believe it is, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. He and other quarterbacks have come out saying they are more than cool with the new 5 for 5 rule. And basically getting rid of the ridiculous, and I mean ridiculous, red shirt loophole. Yes. All kinds of stuff going on here as I try to make some stuff going on. Everybody texting me about tomorrow. So let me get my focus back. But yeah, I mean, I'm actually good to see some people who are cool with it and have kind of seen how we let this one get away from us. But I'm with the guy from the SEC. Do we really believe the NCAA has the teeth to enforce anything if anybody pushes back? Speaking of quarterbacks, wait a minute. Before I get there, let me ask you this. This is so insane. And, obviously, back in the House Econ days of 2020, when we decided to empower everybody and give them all this money, and there are people saying, this is going to open the door to some predatory nonsense. That some of these agents are getting a 20% commission on these NIL deals that players have. 20 frigging %. No wonder people are having their mama or their daddy or their cousin, not that they know what the hell they're doing, getting in the way. Because 20% British Petroleum. But speaking of quarterbacks, man, beauty must be in the eye of the beholder, okay? It can never be true in this particular case. I saw this list this past week that had, I think, 10 quarterbacks on it, and Oregon's Dante Moore wasn't on it. Now, if Dante Moore had came out this past year, he would have went too, behind Fernando Mendoza. And some people think he may have been drafted before Fernando Mendoza if the right trade could have been made. And I know this is a more ballyhooed class than the previous one, but you're trying to tell me somebody we were talking about at the end of last year as pretty much being the belle of the ball can't make the top 10 list? Boy, we're going to see how that plays out. If this kid is chewing on granite and glass, we're going to see it. If he's, chewing bubble yum, maybe not. And yes, you got to love this. It's only July, middle of July, and Coach Deion Sanders, because we don't call him Coach Prime, because we ain't seen nothing prime in terms of him being a coach. Already in prime form, though. I mean, gee whiz. Talk about Brent Yormack. He was in a press conference calling people out. I think it was when the guy from the Atlantic asked him a question. And I will give Deion this, because he is one of the great players of his time. And so he can walk the peacock and get away with being exalted as opposed to some commissioner of some chicken and dumplings conference like the Big 12. No disrespect to the fans of Big 12 teams and schools and all that kind of stuff. You gotta root for your school, as they say, but come on. I call it the ways I sees them. But Deion can get away with being a little persnickety. He's earned that right based on creating the ledge that is prime time. Fair? And I ain't the biggest fan of Deion's, never will be. And I can lay into my case on multiple levels, but nonetheless, I do have respect for the man. I do think he brings a certain buzz to the sport that it's not negative at the end of the day. Annoying at times, but then again, it keeps eyeballs on the particular sport. So good for you, Deion. Good to see that you are in prime form and it being mid-July. And good that you are cancer-free, as I said last week. How about this? St. Francis. I think they're in the Northeastern Conference. And keep an eye on this as a harbinger of things to come. And this is kind of what I thought many, many years ago, even before this nonsense that we have now that started in 2020. They are going from Division 1 to Division 3 because it makes more sense. And I have to think this is the model. And I said this way back when I was trying to make this documentary called Mission Statement, that I wouldn't be surprised if you see schools keeping football, but going with a better financial model like the old California schools have. You play each other, it's in your region, cut down the travel costs, not focus on trying to grab the big bag because there's no way you can compete in the arms race, but you can still keep the tradition for folks that want to play and give something to do on Saturday afternoons. So props to you. Why punch above your weight class and waste resources when you don't have to? Cool for them. I think it's a harbinger of things to come if things don't change with the way we're moving, the direction we're moving, I mean to say. Okay. What else do we have? Keep an eye on the Bruins. They land the potential number 1 draft pick, the 17-year-old Serbian. I think his name is Nikola Kostrika. Probably pronounced that wrong. And they got another cat from Eastern Europe as well. 2 big signings for the Bruins. Be good for the Wizards of Westwood to actually live up to the reputation again. Keep an eye on that. And how about Marcus Spears, his son? Marcus Spears of ESPN, always talking about them boys. His son apparently is the top prospect coming into the 2027 class. He says, yeah, I got this. He is going to go to the University of Texas at Arlington. Not Arlington. Austin, damn it. Yeah, I don't know where Arlington came from. But yes, he's going to take his talents to Austin. Good for him. Yeah, I tell you, man, those genes you get from your professional parents. Okay, folks, we're rocking and rolling. When we come back, we will do a little hardwood. See you momentarily. Welcome back to the Foxhole. Your faithful host, Kid Harlan here. Ice cold chillin', like Kavicha, Carverscalia, number 7. But this is Joey T. Still, we give him the number. And used to be Kylian Mbappe when he was my guy in Paris. But hey, that's a whole other conversation. Okay, let's talk some hardwood, shall we? Woo-wee. Just when the saga with the Queens of the Court could not get any weirder, it has. Thanks to Congressman Republican Austin Pfluger. He and 10 of his colleagues drafted this ridiculous, I don't know what you call it, but basically putting the WNBA on notice, saying that if the attacks on Caitlin Clark do not stop, which we believe are racially motivated, didn't say gender motivated, that they constitute DOJ and possible civil rights violations. Kudos to Jason Whitlock, who I don't agree with when it comes to his Caitlin Clark simping, for calling him out, because this has got to be the most insane thing I've heard this year. There's been a lot of insane things. With all the messed up things in this country of ours, which I do love, with my red, white, and blue bracelet I've got on. I love this country to death, but it is cooked in many aspects. And you mean to tell me a league that you never gave a SHI about, you all of a sudden do because the Ivory Queen is up against people who don't want to throw rose petals and gold dust at her feet? We got an immigration problem in your minds. We got a homeless problem. We got lots of people losing jobs to AI and other things. We got a war going on over in Iran. And you want to sit there and waste resources. Anything to grab headlines. Got you, even people in Congress doing the race hustle. Can you believe this? Can you believe this shiz? 2026, the gift that keeps on giving, right? Yeah. I mean, and, yes, the attacks on Caitlin Clark don't stop. We're going to get the DOJ in it. Wow. And, of course, Kathy Engelbert, having a chance to address all of this, supposed to come on the Dan Patrick Show, and she cancels. And good for Dan Patrick for calling her Dollar Tree ass out. If you're going to commit, show up. Don't be at the top if you can't answer the questions. Your league is a dumpster fire. It is a waste treatment facility. Stand up for it at least. If you're going to go on and say you're going to go on a platform like Dan Patrick's, my word, my word, my word. It is Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. Rest in peace, Louise Lasser. Man. Yeah, Kathy Engelbert. Do better. Then you've got Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro throwing blows in Vegas. They're there for the Summer League because everybody's got to get their appearances in. Wow. Because he was happy about some comments Herro made on social media, so Bam has to be that guy. Wow. Commissioner Silver, step in and give both of these clowns a fine just for being the dumb butts that they are. Speaking of Summer League, impressive stuff going on here. Caleb Wilson and his debut, 35. AJD and Darren Peterson looking good in their head-to-head matchup. The kid the Lakers drafted last night looked good as well. So it's going to be interesting to see these young talents when it's their turn to unveil their skills to the public, when the games actually matter. You know, it's Summer League, so let's not get too carried away about balling out. Remember that team with D-Lo that won it all? Yeah, how did that work out? B.I., low ball. Okay. How about Austin Rivers? You know, Doc's son, former player. Man, if I ever see that guy, I'm going to buy him a beer. Calling Rich Paul out on his antics. You're either an agent, but you can't be a content creator and be an agent and have integrity when you're up in your podcast with Max Kellerman, sitting there basically saying, being LeBron's mouthpiece. Be an agent, okay? Or stick to content creating. But don't cross the line there, and that's what you're doing, and I think a lot of people are getting cranky about it because he's kind of taking advantage. You know, if we're going to get on Diana Rossini, why isn't anybody getting on this guy? Or, you know, kind of crossing the line. All right. Speaking of LeBron, his client, the LeBron fatigue is real, yo. I mean, I'm glad I don't have to deal with it anymore, but this nonsense of basically pulling the decision 2.0 as kind of like a prologue to his version of The Last Dance. Can this guy get any more nauseating? Yes, he can. And this is only the tip of the iceberg is what it looks like. Yeah. You've been great, King, but I'm not going to be sorry when you do leave the stage. The Tatum-Brown breakup, boy, that's getting really nuanced. I mean, now that we're over the whole, Jaylen Brown is getting persecuted for being a black intellectual nonsense, it's still out there, but that conversation died down as it should. And we could more focus on the fact of the discourse being switched more to, well, I'm more of the people and of the culture. Tatum's more of the brand, and we're just different. And yeah, these things happen. Shaq and Kobe broke up. Fools could have won more titles if they didn't. I don't know about Brown and Tatum, but clearly it became oil and water between the two, apparently. And I'm sure as the summer inches along, we will find out more in terms of what led to this breakup in Beantown. Mm-hmm. Other big news this week. Wemby and Mr. Mitchell in Cleveland signing huge extensions. You talk about the big bag of cash or big bags of cash raining down from the sky. Yeah, baby. Good for both of them. Well deserved. Well, I don't know about Wemby's case, but he's getting there, and he's the future. And Mitchell, you ain't got his empty calories. But hey, if Gilbert wants to pay you those kind of greenbacks and you can get LeBron, there'll be eyeballs on Cleveland. Right? Another big news. The NBA is holding up the Kawhi to Toronto trade because they want to get to the bottom of salary cap avoidance gate. You know, that whole thing that they did to circumvent the salary cap with the company working with Ballmer, and everybody's denying it, but the NBA says before you get to go to Toronto, we're going to get to the bottom of this. All right, Mr. Silver, showing a little backbone in the way I know your predecessor, Mr. Stern, definitely would have. About Jerry Colangelo, that Jerry C., former brain trust in Phoenix. He has thrown his hat in the ring along with the VGK owner, Vegas Knights, and the Vegas Golden Knights owner, in terms of, yeah, I want to put up the greenbacks when the NBA franchise is awarded to Sin City. Oh boy, that is going to be a bidding war, and I'm going to be curious as to what the final sticker price is going to be when that is all finalized. And, and speaking of trades, I think this is so funny, and I love the pettiness. It was the same thing with Kevin McHale way back when he was doing his thing with the Timberwolves and wouldn't trade KG to the Lakers. It was like, I can't do it. And apparently Pop did the same thing in 2018 when there was a proposed Kawhi to the Lakers trade, and he's just like, not on my watch. Gotta love it. Stay bitter. Never, 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 never. Like, no, I'm not helping those mofos. Not now. Not in hell. All right, folks. When we come back, we will do a closer look. See you momentarily. All right, welcome back to the Foxhole. Boy, we're trying to do this at breakneck speed, as opposed to the usual casualness, without coming across and being sloppy. Hope it's working. Let me know if it's not. FTINFX@gmail.com, or leave us a message, 541-525-0896. Yeah, it's 0896, 525-0896. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, time to opinionate, editorialize, talk a little trash, rant and rave, maybe drop some wisdom, or just go off the rails. A closer look in the Foxhole. Well. The United States men's national team. Another epic fail on the biggest of stages. Lots of conversation. Pay to play. Are we not good enough? Is our best athletes playing the wrong sport? I saw this meme this week which made me laugh. It was basically Justin Herbert in a U.S. men's soccer team, in a soccer team uni. I thought, wow, that's pretty harsh. But there was some truth to it in terms of Justin having money on a big stage, not as big as this stage, but a big enough stage. And our team, especially Mr. Pulisic, who's the face of this project. And I think it's time for us to have an honest conversation. We've been doing it here on this platform for many, many moons. And I know there's some people here who have been tuning in for the first time. I thank you all. Tell your friends. Stick around. It's going to get funner up in here. But yeah, it's not so much that the pay-for-play thing, which everybody cries about, and Alexi Lawless is taking all kinds of slings and arrows, because he's like, okay, who's supposed to pay for free soccer? But the point being is that the travel thing where people are paying ridiculous amounts, which I'm not being an advocate for, I'm just saying it isn't hurting us in basketball. It's not hurting us in baseball. It's definitely not hurting us in hockey. It hasn't hurt us in women's soccer. We're just always going to use that excuse because of the mid. And the fact is, stop it with the American exceptionalism. Stop it already. We do not have to rule every sport. It's not in our DNA. We're punching above our weight class, and we saw that against Belgium. And believe me, it's better that Belgium put the beat down on us. I don't even want to know what Spain would have done. Okay? I don't even want to know. Is it an indictment on our program? Hell yeah, it is. But is it a hanging offense? No. It's not in our DNA. We're punching above our weight class and have been for a long time. I know folks out there who fancy us becoming a major power and are working hard at it. And we're hopefully going to have some people here this summer that can speak to that. But come on, man. Let's not kid ourselves anymore when we get to a big stage. You know, here's a good example, right? When Mexico and the U.S. and Canada get knocked out, now for the match yesterday, tickets had plummeted 65%. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe you just want to cut your losses and get back to where you're at or whatever the case may be. But if you're all in for something that only happens for 3 decades, see it through. It's once in a lifetime. You couldn't have been that hardcore, or I don't know. But point being is that match yesterday, which the U.S. would have been in, yeah, you could have gotten for a bargain at 65% lower than what the U.S. matches were paying for, which speaks volumes, and it's not a good thing. And I'm going to ask certain people to know over the course of the summer about that in terms of how we grow the game, not just even beyond us, because it's just like, okay, I can take that, you know, and it'd be one thing if you could maximize your profit, but obviously if it's going for 65% lower, you're taking a hit. Pulisic taking lots of slings and arrows. I don't quite know how to feel about that. Once again, he's an all right player. He's done well at Borussia Dortmund, Chelsea, and AC Milan. But is he anywhere near the Mbappe, Messi, Haaland, Dembele, Salah, those guys? He's not even in the same constellation. So Carly Lloyd, lay the F up. And Landon Donovan, STFU. I don't remember you hoisting up any trophy, a World Cup trophy. You had no money like these guys had when it really comes down to it in the nitty gritty. And these guys would have ran your clown asses off the pitch. So stop it with that. Stop piling on. It's okay that we're not good enough. Wow. Okay. Let me get away from this. This is a conversation that I'm going to revisit quite a bit as more data comes out, more analysis when it comes to the U.S. men's flop. It isn't a flop, but to me it is, because, you know, it's okay that we are punching above our weight class, but it's like, isn't our home soil? FIFA even gave you a solid, and you still embarrass yourselves. You know, you got prison sex on the biggest stage. Man, I gotta mention this real quick. I'm just really getting tired. I mentioned that earlier about the douchebag in Congress, you know, right? Trying to get political clout, you know, using Caitlin Clark and being a race hustler. But what about all these other folks? We talked about the Carmelo Anthony thing in Texas, not the basketball player, but, you know, the Austin Metcalf. You got this case right now, the JUCO player that drowned or whatever happened, a black kid that was with 3 white kids, and now everybody's pushing the race hustle, like saying, hey, if you're black, don't ever be alone with white people. Yeah, white people can kill black people, but more often than not, black people kill black people. And as somebody who has been in a lot of places where I was the only brother with hundreds of rednecks even, race hustlers, lay off it. And that's not to say something bad couldn't happen to me, but still, I'm more likely to get clipped by somebody of my own color than somebody who's hung out with deadheads, heavy metalers, cowboys, and straight up shit kickers. So, you know, spare me. But wait, because you can push these narratives to monetize it, it's another reason why this country is so damn cooked. Where, hey, somehow conflict, because suckers like me can't help themselves and will click on the YouTube video and watch it, which is allowing these fools to get monetized. I ain't paying for y'all. I ain't contributing to your Patreon account. But other people do. And it's just really disgusting. It's shameless. I don't know what you can do to like put the kibosh on something like that. You know? Yeah. Man. You know what? I think I'm just gonna land it right there because it irritates me so much. It just discombobulates me to think about all this race hustling. I mean, yeah, I could talk for hours because the way I'm seeing how these folks are trying to manipulate to get Carmelo Anthony another trial, and I mean, straight up lying. And because we're so gullible and everything on the internet is true, oh yeah, it becomes the gospel. This is sickening. All right, folks. So I can cool off. When we come back, we're going to do the NFL report, TMCA time, and get you out of here so we can get to the World Cup watch party. See you momentarily. Haha. See? Get like a swig of some energy drinks. Because it's a little bit early for the adult beverages. That's coming up when we watch some World Cup action. I'm not going to ever get to it. But hey, we're a little bit closer than we were before. So, with that in mind, let's do the NFL report going on. Couple of interesting developments. We're always talking about what Dr. Atamatawalu and his people have done as far as CTE research. Well, this is an interesting one. Remember the kid from the Cowboys? I believe his name was Marshawn Nealon, who after having that big game on the Monday night ended up taking his life. Well, the folks in Boston were the main CTE. Is at Boston University, I believe. Yeah, they said that after a study of his brain, 24, serious CTE. And then the same institute also said that in a study that NFL players are more likely to have neurological or neurodegenerative diseases like dementia than the rest of the general population. I don't know what that's based on. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I think we want to have further analysis. And I don't know what that really means when you see certain people who are sharp as a tack and other people that aren't. And I don't know if that's a combination of playing football, doing that kind of stuff. I mean, those of us, do we have CTE because of the things we've done? Car crashes, being knuckleheads. I don't know. It's going to be interesting when we get more data. Okay. Then we've got Mr. Arnold. Yeah, that Mr. Arnold. Cut by the Lions. He's being in that whole criminal mastermind, kidnapping and all this stuff. And the Lions cut him. Now Dan Campbell's a racist because you didn't give the brother a chance. He's got the female version of Bryn Crump out there touting, trying to get him another job. Apparently, teams are interested, like the Texans. For one, I think I've already brought him in for a workout. I'm just like, really? With all these ball playing mofos out there, you want to still take a flyer on this guy? Let it play out before touching his radioactive you know what. Let it play out for FFS, as they say. Wow. Like I said, this world is so cooked at times. And all you people calling Dan Campbell a racist. Homie hasn't before him. That was reason enough to get rid of him. He made it easy for the Lions. Jeez. No GPS tracker either. Okay. Let me move on. So, how about Scout Daniel Kelly? Basically saying Fernando Mendoza, from every metric he can see, is going to be a bust. Wow. Can you get a Kalshi future on that one? Well, I love all these gurus. I said, why should I believe you? You know, you're the cat from ESPN that I talked about last week, Miller, who's stepping away from ESPN because there's too many eyeballs on him. Yeah. What do I think, man? Well, talk is cheap. Results are everything. And this is a results-based business. Let Kirk Cousins drive the bus for a bit, and then when it's Mr. Mendoza's time, we will make the determination whether or not he's a bust. Because if he's not, that means he turned the Raiders around and is leading them to a better place. If the Raiders stay the dumpster fire they've been for far too long in this century, well, I think the proof will be in the details. As this Harper says, am I lying? How about Marshawn Lynch? Yeah. Beast mode. He apparently came out in some publication, was talking all kinds of smack, that he basically laughed in Pete Carroll's face after let Russ cook through the interception that denied them going back-to-back championships and gave Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and Gronk and the boys more love. I can totally picture that. Just him going up there going, you B-A-M-Epper. Thanks for calling. Because remember, they tried to beat Gronk up at the end of that game, and they were better. They was like, so I can see him just going up in Pete Carroll's face, just like going, you sorry, a blankety blank blank blank, and just laughing in his face. Because what are you going to do? You're not going to punch Pete Carroll. So all you can do is really laugh in his face, but yeah, that's a good one. Wow. Then you've got D-Hop, Mr. Hopkins. Look, this guy. So he's made about $145 million in his playing career. And what is he doing? He is taking classes at Clemson, finance classes. Why? Because he doesn't want to be, when ESPN decides to make Broke 2, the sequel to their first one about all these players that lost their money, he doesn't want to be among those. So props to you, D-Hop. That's a 2 thumbs up there. Okay. I mentioned this the other day. Now, I gotta mention it again, because I got my Joe Theismann jersey on. John Riggins. How about him finally getting his jersey retired by the Commanders organization? He never played for the Commanders. He has not embraced the Commanders brand. But Josh Harris, who's born on the same day and year as I am, he knows what's up. And the things that they were doing to build the Commanders brand and keep the past alive, good job. And I mean, I think I would have taken Riggo above Art Monk. Well, I don't know about Darryl Green. That's a hard one. But definitely above Art Monk. I love Art Monk. Love me some Art Monk. Bobby Mitchell, first brother to play for the team, and a badass. No problem there. Sammy Baugh, well, gee whiz. Right? I mean, Sean Taylor, I get it, but not really. I mean, an inspiration, but come on. As I've said before, we weren't really that good. But Riggo, and that video that the Commanders dropped, oh my God. I mean, I shed tears. I had goosebumps when the Diesel came on. The 2 videos that the Commanders social media team, props to you guys. You guys are on fire right now. I know I don't like to talk about my teams, but hey, I don't care when it comes to number 44, who easily has the most iconic play in that franchise's history, and one, in my opinion, one of the top 10, if not top 5 plays in Super Bowl history, given the moment and the drama at the time. Even though that Dolphins team really wasn't all that the Redskins beat, but still, it was at a point which turned the game around. Hey, how's it going, Don McNeil? But props to you, 44. Because as a Redskin Commanders football team fan, we love us some 44. All right. How about I spoke about the Justin Herbert meme a little while ago. Even Herbie's girlfriend is catching slings. I bet I give you Madison Bear is her name. Poor concert tickets sales. Translation: you have nobody in your wallet like your famous boyfriend, your more famous boyfriend. Of course, she's a social media star, and I think it's so hard right now to determine what you're going to spend your money on. There's entertainment and being so much, but people coming at her, boy, the internet trolls, y'all are ruthless. Okay, lastly, boy, the race hustlers never end. Because Ben Crump has been all over the place, so we're always laughing about that. Race hustlers pushing for the OJ reversal. What the hell is up with that? Let it go, people. OJ had his moment when he was alive. He was the most popular dude in America at one point. Like I said, as Joey D, Joe DeLavaleur said, he was the 70s. He doesn't have to be part of the 2030s. But yet, we're going to have to take action if OJ's name is not part of the new Highmark Stadium. As I said in the last segment, never an excuse to hustle for clicks and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Alrighty, folks, it is a Saturday, and we know the folks in the foundry worked overtime to deliver us those stainless steel bowls of the smelliest, and I mean smelliest varieties that come in complimentary, regular, and XL sizes. Why? Because these people who get these stainless steel bowls, their actions during the week have earned that distinction. Or, as we like to say, them being who they be. It is TMCA time in the Foxhole, courtesy of Tommy Carcetti. If you know, you really know. TMCA time in the Foxhole. Where are we going here? I'm going to go 2XLs for Jacob Toby, a Spurs announcer who got fired for having an affair with a player's sister. Now, I'm with Colin. I don't know if that warrants losing your job, but I do know this. If it's something where a morality cause, and like I said, as somebody who's struggled to really find traction in this labor market, how about some sexual discipline and maybe keep your happy parts in place when it comes to something that could affect your livelihood? Now, he might be able to sue his way back into his, like what Colin said, but still, just word to the wise. That's why you're getting 2XLs. Brent Yormack, 3. Somebody from a chicken and dumplings conference talking to somebody in the media that way. FYMF, as far as that goes. That's what I would say if I was that guy. Okay, a 5 strip. 5 XLs for Sonny Holston of The View. And 5 more for Disney for allowing this whack ball to still dumb the IQ down, dumb the discourse down. Her comment about her being around American flags makes her nervous because of the people that it represents. You have a livelihood because of that flag, you dumb trick. And ABC Disney allows this dumb you-know-what to stay on TV. Preaching this garbage. This isn't even race hustling. This is just straight up ignorance. Woke BS to the fucking hilt. Pardon my language. So, yeah. Wow. Okay. A 5 strip, 5 XLs for the Hall of Shame. Complimentary all around. Do any of you clowns that rooted against the United States men's national team and were happy when we got knocked out and you were Americans? You know what? GTFOH, okay? If you can't root for us, at least keep your mouth shut. And not go, oh my God, I was so glad. It was just so invigorating to see us lose because as a country, we didn't deserve it. Yeah, this is why this country was cooked, because we have cretins like you, okay? You know, if I could, yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. A 5-strip and complimentaries all around for all of you jackasses. And I mean jackasses. FOH. I'm going to give another 5-strip. Well, no, this is a rare 10 strip. This has only been done maybe once or twice. But this is a 10 strip plus one for August Pfluger, and the other 10 Republicans and their Caitlin Clark nonsense. We got too many things to fix in this country for you to be wasting time race hustling. You all deserve an XL. And I mean, we're talking an extra smelly bowl of the smelliest varieties for going there. And I don't care because I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I don't even think I'm a centrist anymore. The point being is, this is absolutely ridiculous, as I said earlier. This is the last Amarilla, is it, in Paraguay, going on a racist tirade after Kilian and France sent Paraguay to the showers. Good for people in their form of Congress censoring her and calling her out. Come on, chick. I mean, yes, you grab some global headlines. Take the L and STFU, please. Lastly, these fools out there who are participating in these beach takeovers in Cali, terrorizing people. I did some stupid ass shit when I was a kid, but come on. Beach terrorizing people, beating folks, doing stuff that's borderline SA. Come on, parents, teach your hellions something. I mean, you all can't be that bored. You all got more accessories than we ever did at that age. And you're acting way more stupid and entitled. Yeah. I mean, the stainless steel bowls that go along here. So let me give that. I'm going to say that's like another 5-strip. Like I said, we're really busy this week. 5 XLs and complimentaries all across the board as far as that goes. Woo! We did it, y'all. We have gotten to the end of episode 322. Thank you for putting up with my nonsense. Tell your friends to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We can use help with the algorithm. Lots of content coming. We're only halfway through summer, and as I promised, this is going to get better as time goes on with this. Aftershocks in the scene. You want to be on, be a guest, drop me a line. FTINFX@gmail.com, 541-525-0896. You know the drill. Stay safe, stay sane, avoid the bracelets, because ain't nobody got time for that bull jive. Enjoy some good bevs and good eats with the people that matter. Enjoy some great World Cup matches coming up. Keep it real, keep it clean, keep it tight. We'll see you in a couple of days, if not sooner, with more fun content from the Foxhole. Peace, y'all.